Hello, learning designers. Welcome to the Learning Design Summit. This is the platform where expert practitioners from different industries and domains come together to share their secret sauce so that all of us in the learning design community can learn from it and further our skills and career. I'm very excited today to have with us Clarissa Janmatha. I'm sorry.
Jathanna.
Jathanna. I'm so sorry.
That happens. That's okay.
Okay. I'm very excited to have with us Clarissa. How did you say your name again? I'm so sorry.
Clarissa Jathanna.
Jathanna. Let me just write it down. It's a little bit of a tongue twister for me. Jathanna.
Yeah, Jathanna. Oh. Yeah, not a very
common.
Sorry,
yeah, slightly embarrassing. Huh?
That's okay. Not a common name. The last name.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay, I'm very excited to have with us Clarissa Jathanna with us. Clarissa is the founder for a learning organization where she works with different organizations and help them transition from the old school classroom style training into the new world, the new normal of training delivery, which is online. Clarissa, welcome to Learning Design Summit.
Thank you so much, Aman. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, Clarissa, we were talking about the experiences that you've been having recently with organizations where you would hold trainings across the country in a classroom style format. And we were talking about how transitioning from the old school or the old way of learning to this new way of delivery of content. How has that experience been for you?
It initially was a very exciting experience because right at the word go, before we set into April, I already was booked for programs right through the end of March into April.
Okay.
And every 8-hour module was comprised to 2 hours.
Okay.
I remember having somewhere journeyed through life and being called technically unsound, so I kind of had my jitters about going about this. However, the whole thought of learning something new, getting new exposure and getting a new platform into harnessing my skills was very exciting. Considering that I'm extremely passionate about what I do and I don't ever believe that I work a day in my life, it kind of just helped to learn a few things. So the first few workshops went on with the same old mundane PowerPoint slides, like I call them. Someday I would try and show you how they looked. They were just white slides. Absolutely nothing in them, and some pictures with different designs all across. However, because like I said, from classroom, my belief was when I'm there, there really isn't a need for a dynamic PowerPoint because I could make the difference. Considering that we moved online and there was some platforms that did not even allow video, plus bandwidth always makes us kind of get off videos, I realized that my PowerPoint had to do as much talking as I did. That's when I started upgrading.
Yeah. Fantastic. So just to share with the audience, Clarissa is the founder, actually co-founder for the organization called Empower Graph. And this organization does, custom leadership development as well as training development work for different organizations. And Clarissa, today the value that we want to bring to our audience with this discussion is to help people, understand the kind of challenges that a typical trainer would face by the way of transitioning themselves from a classroom style trainer to a more virtual style trainer. And you have gone through the drill of transitioning yourself, and you were earlier mentioning that you've taken a lot of courses, worked upon your own PowerPoint skills. And I believe that PowerPoint always has been the most preferred tool for trainers since a very long time now. And even in the online delivery modality, with Zoom calls and all the other things that are happening, the PowerPoint still is use the most of all the other tools that we would list down. So I would want to ask you, Clarissa, how is a PowerPoint different when it is built for a classroom vis-a-vis when you build the same PowerPoint for training for a more virtual style setting? What is the difference?
Uh, Now, there's not too much difference. That's what I've realized after learning the whole gamut of creating PowerPoints recently. So initially, I could just kind of churn around things. If I put activity, I would do what I wanted to. Now it's more customized, it's done in a way that any trainer is able to handle whatever is put out there for them, even at a couple of hours' notice.
Hmm.
I always had my click to add notes and I had everything out there. However, my activities were always put on a slide as activity.
Okay.
Today, I even give them what the activity is, whether it is in the form of an image or however, or the title of the activity. A lot of them are done, keeping the online process in mind, because a lot of my audience is either learning from home or learning from different sites, and getting them involved is one big challenge that I realize I could have faced in the first couple of programs itself. So by the second program, I realized what churning an online program really was, and that's when created a drastic change in the way things were for me. And somewhere in a course of about 8 to 10 days, I somehow dynamically climbed up the ladder of my learning. you know so my mundane powerpoints where I allowed a lot of lapses suddenly did not have those lapses. So even if there was an activity, or if I wanted a case study, it was out there. The case study was put in the PowerPoint, because I know that I don't have a handout. It's not always nice to give every audience everything in advance, because the minute they read it, they're already analyzing things the way they want to. So I've started using more caselets versus case
Hmm.
studies. I've seen that caselets work sometimes with some audience and they don't with some other ones. So those are converted into role plays. You know, the very fact that a PowerPoint or a slide comes in dynamically, people are glued to their screen because they want to see or learn it. So I've left it to being subtle and corporate, but I've started using a lot more infographics. In fact, I've even started uploading infographics with short information that is required on different topics.
Got it. And Clarissa, do you believe that now, when everyone is going to train virtually, the PowerPoint needs to communicate more than it did in the classroom, because the facilitator was always there and they could, say half of what was unwritten there, while you were standing and kind of presenting. So do you feel that PowerPoints, from the view of how much information it now needs to, kind of show to the participants, needs to be a little more packed up?
To some extent. However, one really doesn't have to make that very content driven. Okay, so
Hmm.
I come in from a group. I used to be a member of a group called the International Association of Facilitators. So
Hmm.
that's where I learned a few interesting facilitative tools. What I
Hmm.
try to do, what I always did face to face, was blend training into and facilitation.
Hmm.
I still do that online, because I've realized there are a lot of sites that actually help us do that. It's all about us trying to want to unleash our potential. If we stick to the same old ways, training anyway can be quite boring. If I still look at letting it be content driven, it can
Hmm.
still be very monotonous. So what I try to do is I try to use these different sites and apps. I always have somebody who's co-facilitating with me, either from my team or the client end, and I have them key in information, etc. So I use Mentimeter a lot, and
Hmm.
I've realized that's one very interesting tool that can make sessions interactive. So one may not be able to go to a whiteboard and always scribble down what people are saying. One may not be able to give the audience markers and have them scribble it on a chart paper or a flip chart. However, what the audience is conveying can still be put in Mentimeter and it can be displayed live. So the key out here is understanding the audience and still creating impactful presentations to meet their needs. The learning outcome at the end
Mhm.
of the day should be met, whether it's online or offline. And if
Yeah.
one can look into the learning outcomes of any program, you know, I think it becomes relatively easy. In fact, I feel the challenge that I have faced is trying to uh, concise an 8 hour module into about 2 or 3 hours.
Mhm.
That has been a challenge, but uh, that worked out beautifully once when I realized what is it that the audience would actually want. I've done a lot of dry runs with my team,
Mhm.
getting feedback from them, understanding what triggered them, what they loved, what they enjoyed, what they did not like, what they found monotonous, and that helped me improve.
Okay.
So the first 10 or 15 days being online was extremely important. They were high on energy within the team. We were all in different locations, yet everybody in a very dedicated way got online every day at 4 p.m. only so that we could kind of churn out activities and games and create things online. So we did a lot of things right before we realized that you can play a very simple game of cards online. We started doing that right from small things like treasure hunt. We started doing that way back in April when I didn't even know that it was there online. So
Mhm.
these are small things that I somehow would look at things and try and get it online. How is it that I could use post-its, or how is it that I could use a whiteboard? All of those things we somehow managed to put in place slowly and steadily, right to the extent that we've been getting a lot of 8 hour workshops today. So come June, and we've got a lot of 8 hour workshops, online workshops. In fact, I'm doing two of them next week. So
Oh,
yeah, so
very interesting, Clarissa. I think the real value for a lot of the trainers who are out there who are transitioning themselves into this new virtual modality. I think it will be very interesting for you to show some of these tools to us, and tell us your experience with some of these tools, and where have you seen these tools create impact, and what specific part of the learning process can best be delivered through those tools. So we'd love to know all that information from you. With your permission, Clarissa, I will bring upon your slides,
sure.
and from here, please walk us through. Also, I think, Clarissa, and this is the piece we were talking a little earlier, a lot of the organizations who did not believe in digital learning have no choice but to start believing in it, whether out of choice or out of force. So, walk us a little bit to also help the fellow trainers out there on how they can push the idea of virtual training. What are some business case items that they can share with their clients, and how does it help the organization, and how does a trainer kind of make the most of pitching virtual training to their clients?
All right, sure. Thank you so much. So we'll quickly start, optimizing digital learning and learn a lot of knickknacks and some tools that can actually help one pace up their learning experience. I understand. I used to be one of those people who always felt that uh, live learning and experience, programs was the only way to go uh, until we reach the stage where we've not had too much of a choice, but move our entire bags and baggage from face to face training to online training. So today our learning outcomes are here in front of you. We're going to see that, the blunt truth of what seems to be the only way forward, and that is how digital learning is today. In my understanding, that's the only way that is going to take us through if we all want to still be in this beautiful new normal, or this time. We're going to learn a lot of things that are there in digital learning, the myths, and how it is the truth is. Okay, design an outcome and see how your approach has to be outcome oriented. Learn how to execute your digital learning strategies and create impactful learning and evaluating solutions. All of this in the next hour or so. So this is really about setting the context. This is what we actually said as learning and development consultants. Somewhere in 2015 and 16 and 17, we all knew that we had to pace up into the new culture, which was the online culture. Somewhere in 2000, again, 17, 18, we all said, blended learning was the way to go because nothing, and even today, I would stand up and say nothing can replace your real existence in a training room, not even the digital. However, when it is a time like today where we don't have too much of a choice, we switch into what we are doing currently, and we say virtual learning is the only way to go. So let's gear up, learn, and train. Gone was the day that we said we probably would be up there somewhere in 2022, 23. We had a lot of our goals looking at how we would be virtually placed. Suddenly, mid March, we faced the global crisis that we are still witnessing, and everybody has gone virtual. So we all know this, what really digital learning is about. It's obviously facilitated by technology. This century has, you know, rightly been called the digital era. In fact, the internet has always revolutionized our workforce and our ways of learning. And this is something that we've observed over the past couple of decades. We've massively, in fact, been dependent on technology for everything that we do. All right. Every single, even when we are in a workshop live, we still bank on technology because our PowerPoints, our videos, a lot of us work, partly with technology, and they've all been out there. We just were very hesitant to use it completely, and considering that this is the only big thing and the only way forward, suddenly our blackboards or whiteboards and our physical activities have all been converted into web based learning. Now, the advantage, like you all know, of online learning or digital learning is the flexibility which allows us to learn what we need, when we need it, and where we need it. So if at all I have not, and undergoing a lot of online workshop myself. So every time I feel I need to redo it, I go through the entire thing again. If I've not understood something, I can rewind and I can get that information again. The beautiful thing out here for trainers is that the content remains constant, which allows for people to go through that content time and again in the same way that they always want to. Digital learning strategies. Uh, Through the course, we are going to learn on a few things which are very critical to undergoing or conducting workshops online. Okay, now obviously we've got a lot of ways and we've got different kind of learners. So the WAC does not always only apply to physical learning environments. We've got visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners, and they can learn digitally too. We just need to understand what it is that they need, understand that they're not just auditory or visual learners, understand that there may be kinesthetic learners out there, and create ways that a participant feels in control of themselves and a few situations out there, and be able to kind of get hands on with what they're doing. And once when you can understand this and create outcomes based on the three different type of learners, then your entire strategy towards creating digital modules will change. Podcasts are a beautiful way while you're doing different kind of things. You don't always have to be, sitting in one place and listening. I listen, uh, as an example, I'd give you, I listen to a lot of podcast, audios while I'm doing something else. So as we know that we're all confined and we are all having to gamble with a lot of things, while I'm doing something and I still wish to work, I utilize my time listening to a lot of podcast audio seminars. Okay. I go through a lot of videos online and I learn a lot from there. I have always been an avid reader, so reading comes faster and more naturally than anything else to me. So blogs are for those people who enjoy reading. We also have vlogs nowadays, and that I've realized is a beautiful part of learning. Editing videos are absolutely hassle free. One doesn't really need someone or a videographer to help you with all of this. One can learn a few techniques online, and there are lots of them. Artificial intelligence is not the next best thing, it is the best thing today. Machine learning and artificial intelligence have allowed us to convert a lot of our PowerPoints, a lot of our content into beautiful, seamless videos that we require. A nice thing that we need to know about digital learning is they make learners feel responsible and therefore engaged, because they can decide what it is and how much it is that they want to do. It also allows them to voluntarily engage. In a classroom setup, we usually have to pull up participants to engage. A lot of them do it haphazardly. Here, because they want to try it out, they're voluntarily doing it. And that allows them to use a lot of engaging tools and techniques. Now, digital learning in education is obviously the way to go. Uh, they're called smart teaching techniques. They've been around for a long time. A lot of schools use smart tools. A lot of them have been using smart boards and smart ways of learning. In fact, for years, I've seen that happen. They've just been more openly adopted in the last few months. After all, learning must go on. We can't, because of the pandemic or any other reason, keep our children away from learning in this time. This may go on for another few months, even lasting to a year. And like I said earlier, learning must go on. And this has been or brought about a mammoth change in the education system. Uh, every teacher, every educator who very strongly believed in the pen and paper technique have all moved to online techniques of learning. Teachers have started making lectures more interesting for their participants, for their students. Considering that children have a smaller bandwidth, uh, creating interactive videos and interactive sessions is very important in the education in educational institutions and in the education system. So we've got online lectures, content, modules, seminars, there are ebooks, websites for reference, and all of this is seeing a drastic change in the way children learn. Children always knew all of this. As educators, we were hesitant to use these. Today, we're forced to use it, and we're doing a fair job. We can, of course, upgrade our skills and get much better at it. Uh, we've already done that. Add your interactive twist to PowerPoint and videos and create that human touch, even digitally. Uh, you cannot, like I said, erase the human touch always. And, online learning will always be a digital medium. However, your interactive twist will make the difference. So use your human tools, use a very beautiful uh, the very beautiful apps or beautiful websites that will help aid your sessions and make them interactive. Now, digital learning in corporates, we've all seen, we've done this to stay abreast. We've kind of constantly used different mechanics of learning to upgrade. Okay, digital strategies were crucial for success, and therefore, a lot of times we've used them. Today, we've kind of fast paced it. Okay, to summarize, I'd just like to say the mark of a successful workforce, uh, the programs and the workshops that are developed for them, okay, are an effective and extensive uh, input of adaptable design. Okay, a design which is smooth in execution and needs continuous improvement. All right. So a lot of times we've sat there and said, I've created a module. Now I can use this constantly. Every time we walked into a session, we brought in our flavor. Out here, you may have to do a little bit of homework, sit with the module a day before and introduce your flavor a day before, because you will have to keep your tools ready while you're on a call with your participants. A quick checklist so that you know the do's and don'ts and what you need to keep with you. All right. Check your hardware and software compatibility. See that you have updated software, download, check things that you require. See that cost effectiveness is one of the things that we all require. Otherwise, no program would ever be good enough. See that you have good design in your PowerPoints, because, like I said earlier, drab PowerPoints are not very attractive. And even if you're showing 4 or 5 slides, they need to look engaging. And therefore, see that you use good designs. Let them be corporate, let them be subtle. Play around with colors, especially if you're training the youth, if you're training in schools and colleges, you may want to play around a little more with color. It should target learning outcomes, and a right calibration of content and methods need to be used. How is it that we can optimize our digital learning? Now, for the real essence of what we are here for, and that is optimizing your digital learning and the journey that we can embark on starting now. One, create a hybrid learning system. When I say a hybrid learning system, I'm talking very clearly about the learning management system that we've always had. It always was one way, it was not very interactive. The traditional learning management system is no longer sufficient to support the continuous upgrade and learning that is required in this day and time. In fact, we need to make our learning management system so supportive of the learner's needs and requirements, and create a collaborative approach with our peers, and instructors, so that it results in engaging and enriched learning. All right. So look at how it is and what it is that you're doing in the LMS. What are the tools that you still are using? Create more integrated tools that allows for learners to view content, which allows the learners the flexibility of pausing, stopping, and continuing the content, which will work for both people. One, for participants. Two, for the learning and development team. So, it could be a three-way thing. The learning development team, as well as the manager, knows if the participant is going through the program the way it's supposed to be. This works really beautifully for e-learning. There are a lot of e-learning modules out there, and companies are investing in e-learning modules. Now, a lot of though we say participants can do it at their own pace and time, a lot of times a participant may not really want to engage in an e-learning because there's nobody to monitor them. This is where an integrated learning management system will help. So, you don't have to manually feed in who's gone in there. You don't have to manually feed in if they've gone through the program. But if they register to the program, it should help to update in the learning management system, which will allow the team to understand at your end if the participant has gone through the program. you know and it can actually work beautifully only when it is interactive. The second one, develop tailor made learning solutions, especially designed for your learners. Like they say, one size doesn't fit all. Similarly, out here, one kind of program will not be sufficient, or one methodology used in a program will not be sufficient for every learner. Every learner has a different way, like we discussed earlier, and we all know in learning. So, keeping the model in mind, we'll need to customize our solutions, our learning solutions for our learners. All right. Now, a very important question to ask here is your program relevant to all the learners who go through it? If your answer is yes, great. Most times, our answer, if we're really critical with ourselves, is no. What do we do in that case? Let's see how we can create or design amazing programs, where it doesn't always apply to one set of learners, but the same program applies to everybody. Okay, simply put, it does require a lot of effort at your end. Personalization out here is the key and can address this concern, making it relevant to learners. It can, in fact, be department specific, it can be role specific. A participant can choose their function depending on their functional unit, okay, to fine tune their requirement. So, everybody who's probably going through a campus to corporate doesn't need to go through the entire mundane run of understanding the nitty gritties of every department right there in their first week. It can intimidate them, especially when you're doing it online. So maybe we can just give them capsules of what they require. And slowly and steadily, as they're in the company longer, we can keep giving them bigger chunks of learning. The third one is provide high quality learning resources. Now, like we've discussed earlier, and like Aman asked me, would that be any different? Would the PowerPoint be any different if I was online or offline? Uh, Honestly speaking, if everything was as per the way it used to be and we conducted, physical workshops, I don't think I personally would have upgraded into learning a newer way of creating PowerPoints. I was pretty satisfied with the way my PowerPoints were, though they were simple and stuck with, the my company logo and just had very simple what you call it, slides which didn't transition or anything. I was quite happy and content with that because it didn't. I always believed that if I'm there, I could make the difference. And I didn't get out of my comfort zone to want to learn a better way of presenting my information, content, and data in a way that people would love to see it. So, visuals to me always stuck with maybe videos and the kind of information that I was presenting and the way I was presenting it. Today, I realize that visual learners are attracted to a lot of the colors and images, to the way it's transitioning slide after slide. It helps people pick important points and helps them learn. So, provide high quality learning resources. Okay, understand that your employees deserve the best, and you are the one who can by now master skills to help them get the best. The fourth one, promote a contagious learning culture. Now, learning needs to be a habit, learning needs to be created as a habit, learning needs to be defined as a habit, learning needs to be, spread in the most contagious form and ingrained in people like it would be as a habit. All right. And the only way that we can do this is in this competitive era. All right. We can do it in the most beautiful way by creating a learning culture where one always chooses to stay ahead, or at least stay abreast what is happening. Okay, gone is the day where one was satisfied with the way things functioned and worked. It no longer works. I've seen a lot of people in the industry who've been very rigid about the way they've done things. Somehow it has become a little challenge with time, and that is why they say one needs to adapt to the time. We've always seen and we've always called the youth, the next generation, our Gen Z and our millennials out there and always digitally sound. We've somehow not been very open to accept those methodologies that they loved to learn with. We always stuck with our traditional ways of teaching. In fact, the education system stuck with their traditional ways of teaching till the pandemic hit and pushed people to upgrade their ways. And we always very strongly, as educators, believe that this is the right way. This is how I learned it. Why not? So, this is usually considered to be the right way of doing. We never really wanted to tune ourselves to the audience. Here, by tuning ourselves to the audience, we're also promoting contagious learning culture because we keep upgrading. We want to upgrade to meet our audience, and to meet that audience bandwidth we need to learn, we need to put our resources into practice, and we need to start building this learning culture. Learning needs to be a habit. Again, I repeat, learning needs to be a habit. uh, the fifth one here is create short capsules of learning modules. Don't always get into 4 hour programs. Don't always look at continuing a journey. Don't always look at, a stick, or us our ways of saying a communication skills program can only be a 1 day program, or a presentation skills can only be a 1 or a 2 day program. A presentation skills can be done in 2 hours. When I changed that thought process, I was able to create content which allowed for a presentation skills workshop to be interactive and yet be a short burst of 2 hours. So we started off, when I started my online journey, I had a lot of 2 hour capsules of learning modules. And initially, it just felt very stressful to be putting in two uh, 8 hour programs and 16-hour programs into 2 hours. And when I realized the learning outcome was what I wanted out of every program, and I realized that the learning outcome, whatever happened, had to be met. That's when I started functioning around the learner's perspective, giving them what needed to be given to them in bursts of information, which were energetic, which were effective, which were efficient, and yet they could just bite into little nuggets whenever time permitted. Moving on, we'll try and understand how all of this is possible. Okay, the first thing I always say, like I've been saying, is to develop a strategy. To create a concrete digital transformation, one needs to identify your core business goals as well as the methodologies and the technology which is available, and how is it that you marry the two of them and see that a strategy for your participant is developed. Two, invest in skill upgradation. Uh, we will always not, have a gap in our digital skills if we always want to stick with what is tried and tested. Here is your time to unleash your potential at the fullest and make every interaction count. One of the ways to do it is understand the digital skills gap is significant, uh, a part of this world, which means at present, okay, the talent pool is scarce. And that's the hard truth. A lot of people are hesitant in the fraternity that I belong, that we all belong in, and with the people that I interact with regularly, I've seen a lot of people come back to me and say, open workshops we're doing and we're conducting them fine, but not too many workshops or not too many programs from clients. And I'm wondering, where is it that the gap is? If we can conduct open workshops and teach people how it is that we want to do it or they need to do it, why is it that we can't find that kind of work with clients? So where is it that we're going wrong? Why is it that we're not pitching in a way where clients understand that we have upgraded our skills and we're not as digitally unsound as we probably portrayed ourselves to be? Considering that the traditional method was always live and was always face to face. Okay. It is the primary business goal of every learning and development entrepreneur or consultant or manager to understand that one needs to keep upgrading. Upgradation is the only way ahead. And once when we understand this, we need to propagate this to our participants and our audience. A lot of, again, people say we're losing our jobs. And I'd say, if you can vacate your chair, see that you are also making space for yourself. And the only way to make space for yourself is to upgrade your skills. That is when you can also be retained. uh, in fact, by adopting this approach internally, you will be able to implement a digitally driven learning program that will provide your staff with skills, okay, to evolve their roles within the business, as well as invest in upskilling and upgrading new trainers from within the company, in the form of business heads or participants or audience in the operations team who are strong on skill, so they can propose and propagate the way ahead. The third point here is experiment with emerging technologies. I understand that one may need to do that continuously because there's no stop out here, but that's one of the most beautiful ways of journeying yourself across. If I have to tell someone to upgrade themselves, I need to first learn to practice what I'm preaching. And the only way that I can do it is by showing my team members that I'm technologically and digitally as sound as I need to be. We may have our technical glitches and hangups. We may have a lot of hiccups along the way, but we need to still strive to meet the ever increasing demand of learning. So experiment. There are a lot of technologies which are emerging. Use, try different ways. Okay, embrace newer avenues, and you will see that it isn't as dangerous as it used to be. In fact, emerging trends include voice technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and are worth exploring. Anything that you want is available. All that we'll need to do is customize and fine tune it for our needs. And if we can find a way to do that, it was only going to help learning reach the next level. Which brings me to a very interesting thing. In fact, there was a time where the learning and development team was one of the most traditional teams in any corporate scenario, because we used a lot of pen and paper. And I still remember in some companies that I went to, uh, a lot of people in the operation said, we've all moved, we've all gone digital, we're doing a lot of things, computing it, everything is uh, on tablets, etc. But you people still love to send out your training need analysis, have people print it and sign it physically, and then interact with them. Why is it that you cannot take things online? In fact, when I was reading about the digital optimization, I've seen that a lot of companies have slowly and steadily uh, changed that outlook and they've gone online. It's just not, it has just not been welcomed with open arms. by one and all. But today that we've had the opportunity to upgrade, let's make the most of it, and let's prove to our own kind, that we are as technologically savvy and as digitally savvy as every other industry. Pick up easy to use interface. So interfaces, there are a lot of them, and one can pick up what they want based on the audience and the amount of engagement that they wish to have with your audience. Okay, the icons and text should be clear, it should be legible. Participants must be able to navigate through your app smoothly. So if you're giving them capsules of online courses that they need to undergo, then see that these are taken care of. See that we can make use of graphics, and graphics are beautifully placed so that it creates a very engaging methodology for people to want to learn. All right. As training teams are required to design content, it is our duty to make our users feel comfortable and be able to use the platforms efficiently. So we need to look into that. Even if we've upgraded, we need to always keep in mind our user and how well equipped they are. So we need to understand that from their point of view and make it uh, engaging for them. Participants appreciate a platform which allows them to navigate, which is simple and easy to use, where the functions are smooth. Finally, interactive elements. Now, you should be able to add interactive elements, like I said earlier, into your platform. Online activities like quizzes, audio files, videos, simulations, gamification, etc., needs to be inculcated and introduced as and when required, based on your audience. Quizzes and multiple choice questions, I think, are an easy way to go, and very beautifully can be developed right at the spur of the moment. So one needs to try and explore those help high engagement. uh, the tool must also allow participants to make notes, bookmark pages, search for information, highlight text, etc. So see that if you are outsourcing online content, see that these are taken care of, because these are very important, which needs to be taken care of so that your audience finds the tool user savvy. Okay. See that interactive elements used increase participant engagement, okay, with the program, and thereby the learning outcomes are met. Some pros and cons all right there in front of you. The good side of going digital is you can link various resources in several formats. It is efficient way of delivering a course online. Learning becomes more available and at one's fingertips. It's low cost and there's ease of use. It makes facilitators and trainers constantly upgrade. Now this is the key thing, and this is where we need to focus a lot on. Okay, and try to be novel and experiment. Online assessments can be administered. Now, the upside of it is problems of the extent of online security, social isolation, technical issues. It requires self discipline, like I said earlier. This can be overcome with an interactive, up to date learning management system. It may be impersonal, especially when people enjoy the human touch. But again, it can be overcome if we really look into how we want to cushion that feeling of the human touch with a digital on a digital platform. All about creating videos. Now, this is just to give you a lot of a quick heads up on what it is that you can do to create videos. One, it promotes active and independent learning. Two, it's easily accessible anytime, anywhere, and at an individual pace whenever one wants to. So you can also create small capsules of online videos that can be sent out for quick references, pre training assessments or assignments, or post training learning. More effective ways to learn, as students or participants can pause, like I mentioned earlier, rewind, play, replay as many times as they want. Okay, it also allows to look into a very low cost, because it's one of the best ways of a low cost solution, as we can use phones with free editing software, and these software are pretty economical. I've created some videos. In fact, I've put those slides, and I've been able to use them right at my fingertips. They maybe probably short videos, but like I said, we're all learning, all gambling into our ways of making our sessions more interactive. You can create complementary videos, like I said earlier. Send out resource links that are typed, so that it's quick access and it's memorable. And these videos can be recorded at your fingertips in the comfort of your homes. It can help participants and students who are more tech savvy and more engaged in online learning. Okay, it breaks the monotony of page turning, which a lot of participants are not always very fond of, especially aids visual learners retain information. What's in your content is up to you. You can make it, like I said, as interactive as possible, or the way it usually has been. Now, a quick understanding of creating your PowerPoints and making them interactive. This is a cycle of creating interactive PowerPoints. So before your program, keep all your learnings prepared. So text for each slide should be there. I say scribble down the content that you need. It has to be based on the outcomes. So look at your learning outcomes, create a learning outcomes and your course objectives. So it's very important for you to create course outlines. See that your audio recording for there is an audio recording for every slide. Images, animations need to be put, if any, and where applicable. Insert videos, so keep your videos ready, keep images ready, keep your links, ebooks, hyperlinks, all of it ready. So once when it is, the best way that I have found is to create a folder where I keep a pre-training folder, a training folder, and a post-training folder. In the pre-training folder, I have folders which have images, folders which have videos. For I have the content, a rough version of the content, and for every content I have my notes. I see where the notes have to be applied, where it is that I just need to cut it, and where it is that I need to elaborate, and what it is that I want to elaborate on. It helps me when I'm creating the program or creating the PowerPoint. That is the during stage. Okay, that is where the real magic is. Animations. Embed multimedia drag drop audio files using a trusted and supported format like the MP3. Okay, so a lot of times we've gone into keeping our audios and our videos in another folder and we played them separately. But here, if you embed them in your PowerPoints, it becomes easier for you to play it. You may not forget it. Even if it's a 2 hour capsule, one video is good and you will not forget it, if at all. So I usually check with the client. So this is another tip that I can give you. I usually check with the client in advance. And if they tell me that most of my participants are remotely based because they're in some locations where they have difficulty accessing the net, that is when I send the video out in advance, because they may not be able to, there could be a lag and they may not be able to view the video the way it's supposed to be. So I send videos in advance just to be safe. With those clients where I know everybody's in the city with good bandwidth, I play the videos. All right. Create pop-ups, hyperlinks to your slides, which will take you to a different slide, which will take you to where you need to be, and show them what you have to. So this is where your animations and your visuals can play a beautiful role. Incorporate creative elements in your PowerPoints. Try using a lot of infographics. They're very easily available. You can make your PowerPoints interactive by also accessing the net for slides. I've been doing that for some time now, and I've learned how beautiful the internet is, and it has no dearth of information if one really wants to upgrade oneself. So, I usually download a lot of free PowerPoint slides. I also just download, besides the PowerPoint, I also download a lot of just one sliders. I create a lot of infographics. Some of them I've been learning on YouTube, so I do them from scratch. There are some which I've been downloading from different images and then reconstituting it in my PowerPoint. Of course, it takes a lot of time initially. When I started off creating dynamic PowerPoints, it took me about 3 to 4 days to just create one capsule of about 2 or 3 hours. Now it's faster. It kind of, I can manage as long as the content is ready. I know exactly where to go, and I create the slides in a much better and faster way. So I could take, say, under 2 hours to create a 6 hour slide, or 6 hour content for a program for 6 hours. I can create slides easily for 6 hours program in under about 2 hours or so. Now for your closing of after the slideshow, remember to reiterate links, ebooks, etc. Ask for question and answers, because when we're online, we may tend to forget this. So this becomes very important for all of us. And you can include a quick quiz. Any form of a recap can be done. I usually have participants do a recap for me. The best and the most beautiful thing about going online is you get people's names. So you put them in a tight spot by asking them and having more people engage. This is another tip that I can give you. This is what I use. So I use names very vividly in my programs, and I get people to speak up, even if it's just one line, as shy as they are, because they're not physically facing the audience. They're able to speak up in a much better way than they would if they were facing the audience live. A few tips on shooting and editing videos. Now, here you'll need to understand that a camera is something, or even any form of a camera is very important. Your phone is perfectly fine. When you are try shooting in a horizontal mode, it is much better than in a vertical mode, because it kind of compresses it when the video is on, or when you're playing the video. So a tip is to use it in the horizontal mode. Get the best angle and lighting. See which part of your room is somehow brilliantly lit but not shining in your face. See that you have lights perfectly put, which give you the impact. All right, and once when you start, keep rolling. You may make mistakes. If you know where you are making the mistakes, you can trim the mistakes when you're editing your videos. uh, like I said earlier, know when to use landscape shots, when to use portrait shots. By and far, landscape works beautifully. Portraits can be done only for subtle pictures that need to be inserted, or a quick 1 minute recap or a summary that needs to be spoken of. Speak into the mic. See that your volume is perfect. See that your volume in your system is loud. All right. While you're editing videos, a few things that you can keep in mind: upload your clip of footage onto your laptop. Okay, use an editing software. There are a lot of online free editing softwares that can be used. So use something which is initially a free software, and then once when you feel that you're doing beautifully in it, you can upgrade to a paid version. Trim the mistakes. It allows you to do this. One of the simplest ones that I've used is the Windows Movie Maker. I have felt that to be perfect. It has allowed me to create the way I want to create videos. Okay. Introductions can be used in the form of a slides. You can use transitions. You can put in titles where required. It gives you the flexibility of changing the font. Okay, you can put in a music, or you can put in music or a sound, or however you want to uh, demonstrate what you want in that video. And once when it's all done, you can finalize it. All right. It may initially take a lot of time to do it, but slowly and steadily it will get done faster. Please understand, here as learning and development consultants, we're not just corporate trainers. So our duty doesn't start at end with training an audience anymore. Our duty starts the day we accept a workshop. Our learning journey into that program starts. If we decide to give them some things online, we need to create a link. We need to create forms online. We need to be able to create a feedback system online. Uh, the G Suite or Google Suite tools are beautiful ways of creating all of these, and they help one and all to create simple videos. You've got your jam boards, you've got forms, you can create feedback forms, you can create quick write ups, and if Google is used extensively the way we must, trust me, half of our digital learning can be taken care of. Now, some sites that will help you in your journey, these are some of the, I've used quite a few of them. I've tested all of them and I've seen the result of them. I've shared these with a group of professors in India, and I've seen the outcome because they've come back and told me that they've been successful in using some of them. So, when you have to create your lessons online on video, you can use Screencast-O-Matic and Edpuzzle. Now, a little information about both of them. Screencast-O-Matic is allows you to create and share high quality screencasts without breaking your bank. A well designed screen and video recorder, it allows that lets trainers and participants focus on creating engaging content. So it allows you to create engaging content from the word go. Now you have both free and paid versions of it. You can try the free version, and if you like the interface, then one can, upgrade to the paid version later. But try this out. This is one of those beautiful video creation uh, interfaces that I have used, and I've enjoyed it. Edpuzzle allows you to customize, to crop, and to remix online video content with interactive tools. Again, with Edpuzzle, you have the free and the paid version. I haven't used Edpuzzle yet for my programs. I've just tested the free version and it seems to be really good. Someday and hopefully soon, I am able to use Edpuzzle. Like I said, I got a little more comfortable with Screencast-O-Matic, and I just stuck with that. So this is again our drawback. Uh, Considering that sometimes we're really running out of time, we really don't want to dwell ourselves too much into trying something new because it may engage us in, in more time being spent on something when we can do it at a much faster pace when we know something. However, do try Edpuzzle because it allows you to crop and customize and remix online videos. So you can have, different shots that are taken for different times, and you can put that together, and that works beautifully there. All right. So this is one slide that is helpful for educationists and institutions as well as for your corporate scenario. I've done this because I train in schools, colleges, as well as the corporates across the country, and I've tried using everything as a blended learning so that I can cater to each of my audience in that wonderful way. Now, to bulb is another wonderful one, a tool which can be used. So it allows you to it's slick portfolio tool. Okay, with cool features. However, it has limited feedback options. So this is another tool that can be used for your student portfolios. Only thing, the options are a little more limited out here where the feedback is concerned. But where I needed feedback, I've seen that Kaizana is good. I've seen that Google Forms works beautifully. Okay, and I've stuck with Google Forms. Here again, you have the free and the paid version. The next one is learning and classroom management. Edmodo is another wonderful tool, besides, of course, a lot more tools that are there. In Edmodo, you can manage classes, content, and communication with social learning management system platform. This free platform, yes, it's a free version, allows for teacher monitored classroom communication with basic tools. I know a lot of educators have embraced Google and it's working beautifully. However, if you wish to take a class online for students, you may want to try Edmodo, as it is another powerful tool and you have a free version of it. The next one is your assessment and feedback tools. Like I've said earlier, I found Kazana really helpful. In fact, it's an informed add-on, which allows also audio and text feedback. Okay, it works in sync with Google Docs. Maybe that's where I found the compatibility very strong. Uh, this might be the right feedback tool if you use a lot of Google Suite tools, as it syncs wonderfully with Google. Here again, Kazana is a free version, so it's up for grabs. Go out there, try it out, and see if it works for you. Slideshows and lesson delivery. Besides what we are using, we can also use Nearpod. It is an interactive slideshow tool that engages the participants as well as promotes collaboration. It's what we call your next level to simple PowerPoints. Okay, this effective tool leverages the capability of one-to-one environments. So it helps where you have a participant and a trainer, or a student and a teacher, tuition or coaching sessions. So this tool would work beautifully in that scenario where you have a coaching session. Now, some more tools. Like I've said earlier, I've done so much of reading and a lot of research into understanding tools, and trying and giving my participants the best that is required in a training programs. So this slide gives you more access to things that you may want to feel free to try. So I'll give you a little information about all of these. Kaltura, it works exactly like YouTube. So besides YouTube, you can have Kaltura. Of course, on YouTube, you can give your personal subscription only to people or only to participants where only they can access those videos. But if you just want to try something else, Kaltura works well. The other one is Piazza. It can be used as a question and answer platform. It is relatively, and it's a nice tool, and it is interactive. Uh, in short, if I have to, Piazza can be used as for question and answer as well as feedback, as it is a wonderful and interactive tool. So besides the ones that we already are using, which is Kazana and Google Docs, you may want to also try Piazza. VoiceThread, uh, you can have amazing discussions with visuals and videos using VoiceThread. DropThought is another tool which is used to capture. DropThought is another tool which can be used to capture instant feedback. The fifth one is Video Scribe. one can use this to create animated presentations. I've tried it a couple of times and I found that to be interesting. It's just that I eventually got my hands on in creating PowerPoints the traditional way, as well as creating dynamic PowerPoints, and I stuck with that. But I have used Video Scribe for a couple of programs and they worked fine. Finally, Articulate 360. It develops interactive training courses which can be used for any device. Now, I have used it only once. There was a member in my team who I taught and assigned the task to, and we created a 10-minute snippet of a post training recap using the Articulate 360, and that worked wonderfully. I mean, the audience, I must say, appreciated it beautifully. So, it shows that you're in sync with digital media, with digital tools, and you're not limiting yourselves to uh, PowerPoints and two or three cliched sites and apps that most trainers are using in this day and time. I would not disregard them. Like I said earlier, I'm using Mentimeter. I've used Mural to create, uh, you know, post-its and something called a live kind of a scenario where people put in or scribble on walls. Okay, so I've created those using Mural. I've created Mentimeters to create word clouds and to create simple post-its. I've used Miro, but not in a training program. I've just used it to learn and to understand the tool, and uh, I've trained a few trainers on how it can be used. These three are a constant. However, if one can use the blend that I've sent across in or I've spoken of in the last two slides, it will take your digital learning to the next level. you know these tools should make you feel like a pro. Of course, you're going to take about a couple of weeks to learn them and to get your hands on them, but once when you do, you will see the difference. Trust me, after this, there's no turning back. One really doesn't look at when one would physically be able to conduct a program. The only reason why I would always miss physical interventions today is that I don't get to travel at the rate I used to. And I'm somebody who loves to pack my bag and just be out on the way. So that's the only drawback of not being able to train physically at the moment. In fact, I've seen that optimizing my digital learnings and using digital tools to to the next level in training programs have yielded me stronger and better results than any physical program has. All that you need, like I said earlier, is good software and your hardware and software compatibility. And you can be way ahead, just like any team in your company has performed. Even the traditional learning and development managers can maximize on learning when we're online. Some tips on creating videos. One is so these are different sites that you can use, and this is just information. So educators can use moodle.org, which is a university platform that collates practically every piece of information that any educator requires. Okay, besides this, you can use Animoto. It's a template and a video builder. Personally, I've used it and I've liked it. Uh, one can also use ispringsolutions.com. Again, maybe I'm using some levels of bias on this slide. I've used this. These are tried and tested, and they're working very smooth with me. It's helping me function digitally uh, regularly. Okay, so ispringsolutions.com allows for step-by-step information on creating videos. So it allows you, and it will help you step by step into how you want to create your videos. Movely.com is a video maker and an editor with all assistance in its creation, which is provided to you. And spark.adobe.com helps to create, design, and animate presentations. I've used the four of them, and I've seen a huge life saving change that it has made in the quality of my online programs. A couple of sites that will help you to create training videos and to make videos in a PowerPoint, convert your PowerPoints into videos. So these videos are videos that will help you know how you can convert them. They're very methodical, and it helped me initially to learn how to create them. So I use these, and I really liked it. I in fact still go to them, and I propose these to a lot of my fellow trainers. Thank you. Aman?
For this. Okay. Okay, Clarissa, I was wanting if it's possible, would you like to show some of the things that you have done in Animodo or in any of the other tools? Because I believe that a lot of the trainers out there are still, depending on PowerPoint for content delivery. And it would be nice to just get a sense of how some of these tools actually look like in the virtual platform, and this being webinar being a virtual platform, how the experience is with some of these tools. Yeah.
Uh, these are, in fact, the most user friendly tools that I've put down. Like I
Okay.
said, there was a time not very long ago, I'd
Mhm.
just like to call it about 6 months ago, where I
Mhm.
felt technically handicapped. All right.
Okay.
And trust me when I say if I could do it, a lot of people can do it, because
Okay.
my only ways of doing things were being more animated myself than creating any other form of animations. The best that I did was create videos in video maker a long time ago. That is, when we used to have 5-day programs, and I wanted to kind of send the participants away with a little memento. So that is when
Mhm.
we did that. But besides that, I never ever touched my screen. I used to be so, in fact, so superstitious that I used to not even shut down my laptop for the fear of it not opening up the next day. You know,
Oh, all right.
so I've been there. I've conducted programs without a laptop because of some virus and bug, and I've been able to handle a 2-day program without a screen. But today I realized that these things would not really have worked. Those would not work at this time. And that
Okay.
is when I moved to some of these platforms which have helped. Now, my what I've put here, honestly, are my recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
However uh, technically weak one may feel they are, if one can just try, all that it requires, all of these sites, all that they require is one to constantly do it.
Okay.
Only continuous practice. Like I said, give yourself that break. Don't push to try and get as many programs in the next 1 month, but try
Mm-hmm.
and use all of these continuously to upgrade your skills. I've just tried to put them there on a platter, so that it kind of helps people completely. And the only way that one can master it is by using it, by
Okay. Got
implementing
it.
it. The last two videos will actually be a lifesaver for a lot of people who want to know how to create videos, because I went step by step for about 4 hours in a day. Maybe I didn't create the best video. uh, I've not been able to show a lot of them because they're just personal things that I've tried, but I've tried to master it. Because
Okay.
once when I master it, I can at least talk in a very strong manner with my audience, because I've tried it, and it's not
Right.
coming from just verbal information and knowledge, or I wouldn't be very strong with my content trying to tell you these things if I did not try them out.
Of course, it comes from a point of having done that and having good experience of kind of utilizing those tools. So
Right.
fantastic, Clarissa. I think very very insightful and very opportune by the way of the current need with a lot of the trainers out there who are looking to kind of make a space for themselves in the virtual training world and looking for tools and looking for recommendations from trainers who have already used these tools and knows that this kind of works well. So fantastic stuff, Clarissa. I think there is a lot of value that your session delivered for our community. Yeah. So thank you, Clarissa, for this wonderful presentation.
Thank you. It was a pleasure interacting with you. And
Fantastic.
thank you.
So Clarissa, at this point, I'm going to edit the the piece that we are doing right now, and the recording is still going on. There is one
One
other.
minute, one
Yeah.
minute. I'm running really low on battery, and for
Okay.
some reason, my charger just slipped out. Can I
Oh,
just
okay.
charge this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course.
Thank
I'm
you.
right here. Don't
Thank
worry.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Because you said you're editing this part, I thought I'll just check with you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, that's why. See, we've learned it through experience only. We've been doing summits, and on that day and time, things get really, really stressful if something goes wrong.
Yes.
So that's the reason we, just decided to do all recorded sessions. So,
Right.
Clarissa, there are two things that I will need from you. Actually, three. So I will call them out to you what they are. I will be sending you a link. In fact, let me just paste that link right away for you. This is a small link which you could use to create a 1 minute intro of your session.
Okay.
I looked through, I think yours is still pending. But if you just
Right.
click on this link that I just shared with you, what will happen is that it will take you to a page where there is a small video which is playing, which has a little bit of script. So, if you look through the Learning Design Summit website, what we've gotten all our speakers to do is to record a 1 minute intro session, which
Right.
starts with, "Hi, my name is Clarissa, and I'm going to be presenting at the Learning Design Summit. And I'm going to be sharing with you lots of tools and techniques for helping classroom trainers transition into virtual trainers, and a lot of value out there." So 1 minute monologue on what the session contains, and then see you at the Learning Design Summit. And the good thing about the link is that there is a button called reply with video. So if you just click on that, then you don't need any additional software. You can record right from that page.
Okay.
And so the 1 minute video will get done, and I will receive it, and I will then create the marketing collateral for it.
Okay. I'll do that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And Clarissa, one other thing that I think Soima would reach out to you would be 3 session takeaways.
I've
And
done that.
you've done that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've
So
sent it to her.
okay. So it's not updated in the sheet. I'll speak to Soima on that. So fantastic stuff, Clarissa. Once all of this gets ready, I will reach out to you, and then you can start sharing it on your social media, and we'll give you posts that you can share. And there you go. Yeah. Good time for all of us consultants really to position ourselves as the solution drivers for a lot of organizations.
Right. Right.
So hoping to interact with you in the future, yeah, as we as the summit kind of comes along.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. All
All right,
right.
Clarissa, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being a part of this journey.
Same here, Clarissa. This journey is just started, yeah. So there's a lot